It's 2 o'clock, yet another Tuesday. Welcome to Generation C. Now, Generation C is the show that aims to empower the youth throughout all our three segments. That is, of course, the Zone, Varsity Chat Room, as well as the School Corner. I am Hanchika Pofi, and I will be hosting you on today's episode of Generation C. Now, you can find the Zone in, that is, of course, every Tuesday in the Namibian Sun, the Allgemeine Zeitung, as well as the Republican. The Zone is the newspaper that focuses on all things that is happening within the youth, and today we have some insightful news for you. Please stay tuned for that. Let's take a look at what's happening in the Zone this week. Well, on the front page of the Zone, we of course have the Youth Orchestra in partnership with the National Theatre of Namibia, which hosted a National Youth Sings Festival concert on the 15th and 16th of July in Windhoek to improve the standard of string playing in the country. Let's take a look at what went down at the National Theatre of Namibia. Moving over to page 2, we of course have an article on the youth unemployment motion, which was of course passed in Parliament on the 14th of July and will be handed over to the relevant parliamentary committees. It was first tabled in October 2021 and has finally been passed through to Standing Committee, who is still to be identified by this committee services.
Its ramifications both in the short and medium to long term.
When this assembly adjourned the 13th of July, yesterday, the question before the assembly was a motion by Honorable Hengari that the motion be adopted. The Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Technology and Innovation adjourned the debate. She's not here. Anyone who would like to take the floor? I recognize Honorable Nube. Mano.
On the which one?
Manombe.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
You did spoke.
Not on the women, I spoke on the youth unemployment.
Come again?
Oh, okay.
In the absence of any, I would like to ask Honorable Hengari to respond.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. As you can see, I did not come with any written speech or any notes because it's quite unfortunate that this motion has been on the order paper for over a year. When we tabled this motion, it was in 2021. And so before I even get into thanking those that contributed and have supported the motion, allow me to also express my disappointment with this lengthy process of Parliament, that a motion as important such as this should stay on the order paper for over a year. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I do think that in future, for the sake of progress and to avoid diluting motions that are tabled in the House, especially given the support that the motion has received, I do think, Honorable Speaker, it is well within your powers to decide how long members or how much time they have to to spend on contributing to this debate. Honorable Deputy Speaker, allow me to thank all the members, particularly the young people on the other side of the aisle, who have supported this motion and who have also gone beyond supporting, have made this motion. Honorable Deputy Speaker, and thank the senior members of this House, particularly those who are in touch with their feelings and those who are in touch with the reality on the ground. I do not want to comment on Honorable Nekundi's contributions because, unlike him, I know that members of this House observed as other members from the same side of the House stood up to say what was contrary to what he said. So I think it's quite important that in as much as we want to fight everything that comes from this side, we are also honest with ourselves. We understand that youth unemployment is a crisis in our country. I want to read just two things, three examples. We had what was called the Targeted Intervention Program for Employment and Economic Growth, TPEG, a 3-year initiative that was adopted in order to create jobs, and its main aim was to address unemployment while also supporting strategic economic sectors. The program was expected to create 104,000 jobs, direct and indirect. We've had that conversation, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I don't want to remind members of this House what Honorable Nico Smith brought to this House the other day to ask particularly what happened with TPEG. Two, we had what was called the Small and Medium Enterprises Bank. 247 million looted. An institution that was designed and established to support young entrepreneurs in this country. Another example, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Ministry of Sports, Youth and National Service, through its subsidiaries, the National Youth Council and National Youth Service, established or allocated and availed $1 million to establish greenhouses and support the establishment of horticultural production in at least 14 regions. Honorable Deputy Speaker, if you've been following the conversation in newspapers, you will find that although there has been reports that there have been produce that has been sold, not a single cent in sales can be accounted for. At the beginning of this year, as I was contributing to the budget on the Ministry of Sports, same ministry, Youth and National Service, I brought the Auditor General's report to this House, and I clearly stated that this ministry is almost incapable of reporting on funds that have been allocated, not just to the National Youth Council, but also the National Youth Service. So I think the issue of youth unemployment goes beyond just talking about the fact that there's no link between the graduates that we produce from the university and the labor market. It goes beyond the budgetary allocation that goes to the Ministry of Youth. It goes beyond revisiting and reviewing the curriculum for the vocational training centers of our country. It is such a structural crisis, Honorable Deputy Speaker. And the committee that will be tasked with looking into this issue has such a huge task ahead, because it's not just one sector. It's not just about consulting young people from different constituencies. It's not just consulting economists. It is also really, in essence, creating the very blueprint from this House, agreed upon by this House, adopted by this House, that would then be the very basis of our policies and our laws moving forward. So thank you very much for the support that you have given to this motion. We may not come from the same political parties, but our struggles are the same. Thank you very much.
I think this was one very, very interesting motion in Parliament, and I love how our parliamentarians dealt with it. But also on page 2, we of course have our Vox Pops, whereby the zone team asked the youth for their opinion on the Namibian Defence Force recruitment requirements regarding being vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, of course, I know that COVID-19 is amongst us still at this stage, and a vaccination is quite crucial, but let's take to the streets to find out what Namibians had to say about this.
Okay, thank you. With like me about this NDF requirement, it's so good. I feel good about it because like if I will be recruited, then that will be my benefit. So I will get some of the benefit, especially money. I will get money for sure. Everyone knows it that there are benefits there when it comes to money that will help us to reduce the poverty and also help the family as well. Yeah.
What I think is the requirements are just fine. I mean, the youth need to get vaccinated, plus you need to be fit. Why would you join the NDF if you are not fit? You need to be fit, so you join. So I feel like the requirements are totally okay. Thank you.
I think NDF requirements is having advantage and disadvantage, but I think it's having good advantages. This all those years, most of people they will be treated like 18 to 45, and most people it's like old people, and they used to get like they refuse works and end up learning that. But right now I'm feeling comfortable. But the bad thing of it is just like about COVID-19 vaccination. I'm not happy with it. They were supposed to make like, okay, first you, if someone get out name and get this, then you get vaccinated as they did, like be ready for HIV testing. That would be good. Like some of people they'll get vaccinated, but they won't be going to training. That's it. But
on page 2, we of course we also have our photo of the week, which is a picture of the Ministry of Sports, Youth and National Services, who hosted its first Beyond Me bootcamp at the Enana Multipurpose Center in Ohangwena region last week. Moving over to page 3, of course, we have our school focus for the week, which is St. George's Diosan, who continues to grow its opportunities with various projects for learners, as well as the first school itself. The school is currently looking at developing the school by including a middle school, which will be from the grade 6, entering a new phase of development and growth. Now, I love to see how Namibian schools are implementing new educational systems to, of course, benefit the Namibian child's education. But also on page 3, we, of course, have our star teacher for the week, who is Ms. Lucian Sirakis, a first language English teacher at both AS and A levels at the International School of Walvis Bay. Well, moving over to page 4, which is of course our sports page, we of course have our Namibian under-19 women's cricket team, which has returned with excellent results from their week-long tour to Gauteng, in which they won 5 out of their 6 matches in a quadrangular tournament featuring the provincial under-19 teams. Team manager Hestel Hakau said the tour was indeed intended to prepare the Namibian girls for the Under-19 World Cup qualifiers that will be hosted in Botswana from the 1st to the 13th of September. Wishing these ladies all of the best luck. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
We at Cricket Namibia decided to give our under-19 system exposure, and that's why we travelled to South Africa, and we arranged a tournament to play against Easterns, Gauteng and Robins, and all those matches took place at State Center School in Johannesburg, and the under-19s did really well. We managed to win 5 of our 6 matches. We beat Robins, which is a very strong provincial unit. We beat them twice. We managed to beat Easterns both games as well, and then we won 1 and lost 1 against Gauteng. So overall a really good performance, and it just shows you that we're really moving in our pipeline in Namibia, and our women's cricket is going in the right direction. And then at the end of the day, I tried to throw our national under-19 team into the deep end, and I arranged 2 matches against the SA under-19 team. That was quite tough. But ultimately it just shows us where the under-19 team from South Africa and the test-playing nations are. So there's a big gap, but they gave us a lot of things to work on when we get back in Namibia. And ultimately, these girls can see now what the level is that the under-19 teams in South Africa are playing at. So overall, very satisfied, and it's a good tournament overall.
Well, that was it for The Zone this week. I mean, it's quite an interesting edition of The Zone we have there. But of course, Due to the fact that the zone is only 4 pages now, we of course have more stories on our website. And if you are not heading over to the website to go and read these stories, then what are you doing? Now, for our website news this week, we of course have the United Nations General Assembly, which declared the 15th of July as World Youth Skills Day to celebrate the strategic importance of equipping young people with skills for employment, decent work, and entrepreneurship. On World Youth Skills Day 2022, the impact of current crisis on youth across the world will be analyzed, and options for young people to quickly adapt to the demands of an ever-changing world will be debated. More particularly, the event will bring together the youth governments, UN agencies, as well as the private sectors and civil representatives. Now, of course, you can head over to our website, www.zone.na, to, of course, read these and more stories. Now, let's head over to School Corner to see what they have in store for us. Welcome to the School Corner, where we take a look at what is happening within the schools all around Namibia. Now, I must say that I am really excited because schools officially started yesterday, so we are receiving all the amazing content from you, and I must say that I'm really happy. Our school newspaper project is also, of course, kicking off once again. We are going to be receiving school newspapers very soon. To kickstart today's School Corner, we'll of course be heading over to the Irongo region, where the Namib Primary School of course had an amazing welcoming session for all the learners at the school. Now, there was an amazing welcoming message from the principal, Herman Benjamin, and of course an amazing message from the head boy and the head girl of the school. Let's take a look.
President, you look so happy. You look so beautiful. You know, was the holiday too long for you? Yeah. Did you miss school? Yeah. We missed you too, don't worry. And I'm glad that the good Lord brought us back together. Amen. We didn't hear of anyone who lost his or her life during the holidays. We are all back here safe and sound. And this morning, I just want to say all praise, honor, and glory to God. We have some visitors this morning. We have our 2 youth. They are on the way. Okay. We are blessed to have some visitors here. Caleb and Devon, our 2 young men who have a passion for the Lord, who are always coming to our school to share the gospel with us. Guys, you are most welcome. We have to capture what we are doing this morning so that they can show the other children in Namibia what we are doing in our primary. You were singing so beautifully. She will take pictures. You will be in the newspaper. So you must be at your best behavior. No noise making.
Good morning everyone, my name is Grafni Kovas and I'm the head girl of Nama Primary School. I just wanted to say that we are all very excited to start school. Fresh minds and fresh hearts, and everyone, and us as the prefects are going to try our very best to keep the school in order, because that is what we are told to do. And Nama Primary, we are actually very dedicated to learn and be the best that we can. As our principal said, that we must work hard to succeed our dreams and everything. Thank you.
My name is Afeleni Pietrus. I'm the head boy of Nama Primary. The message I would like to send to my fellow students is to try better this term. Some of us didn't really pass well last term. I would just like to say for them to try harder. As for the prefects, like Rafni said, I would just like to tell them to also try harder in doing their job and to maintain the school.
Now, in this week's School Corner, we of course also have our star teacher for the week, Lucian Sirkas, who is a teacher at the Walfish Bay International School of Walfish Bay, who is a first language AS level teacher. And then this week's school focus, that is of course St. George's Diocese, which has been doing an amazing job to keep all the learners at the school intact. Now they're of course also introducing or implementing something new, which is middle school, which is of course going to be between the 6th grade and the 9th grade, if I'm not mistaken. Well, that was all we had for you in today's School Corner. It was really, really exciting being with all of you. With all that's happening in the schools, let's go all around the world to see what's happening in the university in today's Varsity Chat Room. Now, to kick off today's Varsity Chat Room, we'll take a look at some varsity news, where we of course have our intern journalist from the University of Namibia, Rosalia, who went to an event at NAMCOL where she was able to get for us some information on scholarships that NAMCOL has on offer. Now, NAMCOL is of course offering scholarships to students that would like to improve their grade 12 as well as AS results, and also students that would like to further their studies at the different universities. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Academics for our scholarships. So first, you need to be an admitted student. You have to have an admission letter that confirms that you qualify to do one of our tertiary programs, any one of our tertiary programs. And we are looking for cream of the crop academic performance. So the best performers is what we are looking for. Additional to those two criteria, we are looking at needy students because it's corporate social responsibility. We want to assist those who cannot help themselves. Under that, we are looking at orphans and vulnerable children. That is very important because of the nature of students we have in the tertiary programs. Our students are adult students, some of our students are mummies, some of them are wives, some of them are already employees at other institutions. So we are looking for orphans and vulnerable children. So those two go together. 48-year-old employee of the Namibian Defence Force who has lost both parents is an orphan, yes, but they are not a vulnerable child. Do you understand where I'm going with that? Yes? So orphans and vulnerable children. I cannot call myself a vulnerable child anymore because I'm somebody else's wife. So the assumption is that I'm well taken care of, is it not?
Moving over to our Varsity Corner, we of course have Rosalia Pietrus, who is a second-year student at the University of Namibia, UNAM, and she said that media was not always her first choice. She wanted to study education, seeing as that was one of the only careers that she looked forward to. But of course, if you haven't read the article, here's what she had to say.
Me studying media wasn't my passion. My passion was to become a teacher, but since I didn't admitted to education, I decided to take media, and me getting to engage with my course, I started liking it and enjoy it, and it has been a super journey so far.
All right, so this year you are interning at MyZone, Namibia Media Holdings. How are you finding that journey?
I find it quite interesting and enjoyable, and I'm learning a lot of things so far that I never know about my course, and I'm really hoping to be a member of MyZone in future.
All right. Now, that was all we had for you in this week's Varsity Chat Room, and not only Varsity Chat Room, but Generation C as a whole. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's show, and I hope you are, of course, heading over to the website to go and read those amazing stories. If you haven't gotten yourself a copy of The Zone yet, you can find yourself a copy in the Namibian Sun, the Algemeine Zeitung, as well as the Republican. From me, Hanchika Pofi, it is have a blessed day ahead.